Hello children, let's come back to our maths class. Today we are going to continue with exercise 2.8. Before we start with exercise 2.8, let us take down some of the points related to exercise 2.8. Children, take down your classwork. Get ready with your classwork. Write down today's date. Give the heading points to remember. Give the heading points to remember. Okay. You have to refer page 83 of your textbook. Refer page 83 from your textbook. The first point is De Moivre's theorem. Already we have used this theorem in our previous exercises. Just mention the theorem, De Moivre's theorem. You can just write on the theorem. It is given in a blue color box. Write down. Given any complex number, cos theta plus I sin theta and any integer n. Then you get cos theta plus I sin theta, the whole raised to n is equal to, the n goes to the theta. That is, you have to write down n along with the angle. So you get here cos n theta plus I sin n theta. That's all, very easy theorem. You have to just put the n along with the theta, that is along with the angle. So you get cos of n theta plus I of sin n theta. That's all. This is De Moivre's theorem. So what is the theorem? Given any complex number, cos theta plus I sin theta and any integer n, cos theta plus I sin theta, the whole raised to n is equal to cos n theta plus I sin n theta. This was the first point, children. Just turn your pages. You have to come to page 88. Write on page 88. You have there two more properties. Let us write on the properties which is given in the box. The sum of all the nth roots of unity is. Write on that point. The sum of all the nth roots of unity. Unity is 1 plus omega square plus dot dot dot. It goes on till omega raised to n minus 1 is equal to 0. That is, if you go on adding, you can just get the answer as 0. That is 1 plus omega square, omega cube and so on. What will be the answer? When you add it, you get the answer as 0. Okay, now let's go for the third point, that it's for product. The product of all the nth roots of unity. The product of all nth roots of unity, it's, here we have used plus sign, yes, because here we dealt with the sum. Now here the statement is about product, so you are going to use the multiplication. So 1 into omega square, it goes up to omega raised to n minus 1, and this is equal to minus 1, the whole raised to n minus 1. So you have to remember this point, children. So what is the sum of all the nth roots of unity? When you add all the nth roots of unity, you get the answer as 0. And when you take the multiplication of all the nth roots of unity, you get the answer as minus 1, the whole raised to n minus 1. Okay? And you have to write down here one more step. Omega cube, okay, the value for omega cube is taken as 1. omega cube is equal to 1. Okay, children. So now we'll continue with our exercise. Have you taken down all the points, children? Take down all the points. If you have taken down the points, give the heading as exercise 2.8 and take on the first question. If omega is not equal to 1 is a cube root of unity, show that a plus b omega plus c omega square upon b plus c omega plus a omega square. You have to read this as omega. This is not w, this is omega. So you have to read this omega, okay children? Plus a plus b omega plus c omega square upon c plus a omega plus b omega square is equal to minus 1. So you have to show the value as minus 1. Get ready with your questions. Exercise 2.8, first question, to show. You can start with the answer part, children. We are going to show. You write down, after writing the question, you have to write down to show. A plus b omega plus c omega square upon b plus c omega plus a omega square plus a plus b omega plus c omega square upon c plus a omega plus b omega square, and we have to show this is equal to minus 1. Have you taken this to show part, children? You have to write down the question and the answer. Just do not write the answers directly. If you write the question, it will be easy for you to prepare the answers. No need to refer the textbook again and again. Once you get the question and the answer, it will be easy for you to prepare. Yes, children? So write the question and then go for the answer. Now to show comes under the answer part. So to show, this is what we are going to show as minus 1. So here we have to make some small changes, and then we are going to simplify it further using the points that we have written under points to remember. Okay, children? Now here just see the numerator and the denominator carefully, children. I am just going to consider the term A. Okay, I am not going to focus on the remaining terms. I am going to focus only on the term A. Now just see the term here. This is A, and here the term is A omega square. Okay, children? And similarly, just go with this part. That is the second term. Here we have A, and here we have the term A omega. I am just going to focus on only the A part. I am not going to focus on B, C. It will be as usual. It will be proceeded as usual. First thing is focusing on A. Now we are going to make few changes, and you know that if you are making a change in the numerator, the same change should be done in the denominator also. So now here it's A, and here it's A omega square. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to multiply by omega square in the numerator and in the denominator. I have told you we just cannot multiply in the numerator. Whatever changes we do, it should be done on both the parts. So let's do the changes. Therefore, here I'm going to multiply by omega square. How I get this omega square? I'm just focusing on the term A. So here it was A alone, and in the denominator part it is A omega square. So I'm just going to multiply by omega square. Okay, so this is omega square into A plus B omega plus C omega square upon omega square B plus C omega plus A omega square. Okay. Now here this is A and this is A omega. So we are going to multiply by omega omega. So this is plus omega a plus b omega plus c omega square upon omega c plus a omega plus b omega square. So I'm just taken the LHS part and I am multiplied by omega square for the numerator and the denominator part for the first term, and for the second term I have multiplied by omega in the numerator as well as in the denominator. Okay children? So now here what are we going to do is, we are not going to do any changes to the denominator part. We are going to keep the denominator part as it is and we are just going to multiply the numerator part. Let's multiply the numerator part. Let's try to open the bracket. So what you get here? A omega square, a into omega square, a omega square plus b omega cube plus c omega raised to 4. Keep the denominator part as it is. No need to do any changes. Keep it as it is. B plus c omega plus a omega square. Come on, complete the second term. You have to follow the same method that we have done for the first part. Multiply the numerator and keep the denominator as it is. So what do you get here? A into omega, a omega, b omega into omega, that's b omega square, c omega square into omega, that's c omega cube, upon, keep the denominator as it is children, c plus a omega plus b omega square. Okay, now here we are going to make a few changes. We are going to apply the value that we know. Okay. Now I have already given you in point 4 that the value for omega cube is equal to 1. If the value for omega cube is equal to 1, just see here, if omega cube is equal to 1, what about omega raised to 4? Now omega raised to 4 can be written as omega cube into omega. Do you agree with this statement children? The 4 is being splitted as 3 plus 1. Here I am taking 3 omega and here I have kept 1 omega. So now what is the answer? Omega cube, I know the value for omega cube, that's 1. So 1 into omega is equal to omega. So we know the value for omega cube. What is it? It's 1. And what is the value for omega raised to 4? It's omega. How you get the value as omega? You're just going to split 4 as 3 plus 1. And we know that omega cube is 1. So 1 into omega gives you the answer as omega. Are you clear children? So we are just going to put this value over here. I just want you to take down the step in the rough part. So you are going to write down the explanation over here. Put here omega cube is 1. So omega raised to 4 is omega cube into omega. So 1 into omega is omega. Just stay down these two values children because you have to know how you get this value. Just put this in the rough part. I hope all are doing the margin and the rough part and you're drawing the lines after you complete all the sums. Just follow it children. As soon as you complete one sum, have a habit of drawing the line. Okay, I hope you are ready with the rough part. Have you taken down? Okay, now let's move to the next step. Now what are we going to do is, we are just going to apply the value for omega cube and omega raised to 4 because we have found that. So I'll be getting here a omega square plus b omega cube. So what is omega cube? It's 1. So what is left here? B plus c omega raised to 4. What is the value for omega raised to 4 children? So omega raised to 4 will be replaced as omega. So this is c omega. Are you getting the point? So omega cube is taken as 1. So anything multiplied by 1, you're going to get the same answer. So b into 1 is b. Omega raised to 4. So omega raised to 4, the omega raised to 4 value is omega. So you're going to write here c omega upon, keep the denominator part as it is again. So omega square b plus c omega plus a omega square. Complete the second part. I hope you are ready. Let's have a check. Plus a omega will be kept as it is. Omega square also will be kept as it is. Omega cube. So omega cube will be taken as 1. So c into 1 gives you c upon omega c plus a omega plus b omega square. Now just see the numerator part and the denominator part carefully, children. You see here a omega square, b, c omega. So you have a same term in the numerator and the denominator. So the same part gets cancelled. And here a omega is present, b omega square is present, and c is present. So again we have a common part in the numerator and the denominator which can be cancelled. Okay. So now we are going to take out the left out part. So what is left out? In the numerator nothing is there. That means you have to take it as 1. Just do not forget to take 1. So 1 upon omega square plus, here everything is getting cancelled. Yes children? So 1 upon omega. So try to cross multiply them and take the LCM. So omega plus omega square upon omega cube. We can just say this is equal to. Okay. So now omega plus omega square upon omega cube. I know the value for omega cube. What's the value for omega cube? It's 1. So I get omega plus omega square upon 1. So this is equal to omega plus omega square. But the thing is, I have to show that this is equal to minus 1. Now we have taken the point for the sum of the nth roots of unity. What is the sum? What was the property? 1 plus omega square and goes on. When it goes on, the answer is equal to 0. Okay children? So when you just take the, here we are dealing with only square part. It can go up to n, the omega raised to n minus 1. But here what is the highest power you are going to deal with? You are going to deal with the highest power as square. So what are you going to get here? 1 plus omega square is equal to 0. This is from the points to remember. That is, this is one of the property of the sum. So now here, what is the answer now? I just want the answer in terms of omega and omega square. So keep omega and omega square on the LHS part and try to take this one to the RHS part. So this is plus 1 over here, and when plus 1 goes to the right hand side, it turns to be minus 1. That's all. So I get the value for omega plus omega square is equal to minus 1. Okay children, so we have taken the LHS part and I have just arrived at the RHS. That is, I have got the value as minus 1, which is equal to RHS. So I just can write. Okay, no problem here. So you can just put here therefore. Write out the question and say this is equal to minus 1. Hence, show. Therefore, a plus b omega plus c omega square upon b plus c omega plus a omega square, a plus b omega plus c omega square upon c plus a omega plus b omega square is equal to minus 1. Hence, shown. So we have taken the first. I hope you are clear with the points. Here some omega cube and omega raised to 4 was one of the application, and also we have used the sum of the nth roots of unity. So 1 plus omega square is equal to 0. So I get the value for omega plus omega square is equal to minus 1. You have to take down this point in the rough part. Below this you can take down this point. I hope you are clear with the first sum. It's very easy. Okay children, now let's go for the second sum. Take on the second question. Show that root 3 upon 2 plus I upon 2 the whole raised to 5 plus root 3 upon 2 minus I upon 2 the whole raised to 5 is equal to minus root 3. So you have two complex number with this different sign. That first part is with the plus sign and the second part is with the minus sign, and you have the same real part and the same imaginary part. Okay, let's see how to simplify it, and let's see whether we get the answer as minus root 3. Here we have to get the answer as minus root 3 because the question is to show that, okay. Show that means we have to simplify and we have to get the value as minus root 3. So let's take down the second question, children. Let's go for sum number 2. To show root 3 upon 2 plus I upon 2 the whole raised to 5 plus root 3 upon 2 minus I upon 2 the whole raised to 5 is equal to minus root 3. This is what we have to show. Okay, children? Just do the work. I hope you are ready with the questions. Shall we continue the answer, children? Okay, here we are just going to split this LHS part into 2. Okay, I am just going to split this and I am going to solve. I am going to solve this separately and I am going to solve the second term separately. Okay, and later on I am going to just bring them together and I am going to check whether I get the answer is minus root 3. Let's start with the work. Here I am going to consider this part, the first part, as z. So write down here, let z is equal to root 3 upon 2 plus I upon 2. Let z is equal to, I am not going to take the power part here, I am just going to consider the complex part. So z is equal to root 3 upon 2 plus I upon 2. And now we are going to write down this in the polar form. So let's write down this in the polar form. Now this is a complex form. You know the meaning of complex form? If you have the expression as x plus iy, that is if you have a real part and the imaginary part, you call it as complex number. And if you have the complex number in terms of cos theta plus I sin theta, you call it as polar form or trigonometric form, because your trigonometry is, the trigonometric functions is used over here. So you can call this as trigonometric form also. Okay, children? So now we are going to try to make this in terms of polar form. So we are going to just use the method that we have followed in our previous exercise. Let's start the sum. So I'm going to write down here, let, or I just continue, z is equal to r cos theta plus I sin theta. I'm going to convert this in terms of polar. So I'm just writing the form over here. Now you know how to find out the value for r. Do you remember the formula for r, children? Yes, r is called the absolute or the modulus value. So what is the formula for r? It's square root of x square plus y square. What is x over here? The x is the real part, that is root 3 by 2. And what is y? The part that comes with the imaginary unit. Now what is the unit here? I is the unit. What is the value with I? It's I upon 2 means the imaginary part is taken as 1 upon 2. I upon 2. So you have to take it as 1 upon 2. So we got the value for x, it's root 3 by 2. We got the value for y, it's 1 by 2. Let's put the value over here and get the answer for r. Come on, substitute, children, and get the answer for r. You have to take the value for x is root 3 by 2 and you have to take the value for y as 1 by 2. So square them and add them and get the answer. So what you get here, this is root 3 by 2 the whole square plus 1 by 2 the whole square. Okay, children? Now let's simplify further. So this is equal to square root of root 3 square. Root 3 square means it's 3. Root 3 into root 3, that is 3. And if 3 square, that is 9. So there's a difference when you find out the square of root 3 and square of 3. So root 3 square gives you 3. So you get here 3 upon 4, that is 2 square is 4. Now 1 square is 1 upon 4. So this is equal to 3 plus 1, the denominators are same, so I can add the numerators directly. So I get 4 upon 4, which is equal to root of 1, which is equal to 1. Okay children, so we have got the value for r. What is the value for r? It's 1. What is the meaning of r? R is the absolute value or the modulus value. And what is the formula for finding r? This is equal to square root of x square plus y square. Keep this in your mind children, always never forget the formulas and the terms. Okay, so we have found the value for r. The next thing is we are going to find out the value for alpha. I hope you remember the formula for alpha. What is the formula for alpha children? Come on. What's the formula? The formula is tan inverse modulus y by x. Alpha is equal to tan inverse mod of y by x. Let's put the value for y. What's the value for y? Yeah, it's 1 by 2 and x is root 3 by 2. I'll just substitute over here. So tan inverse 1 by 2 upon root 3 by 2. 1 by 2 upon root 3 by 2. So we have 2 in the denominator, which can be cancelled. The denominators are same, so I am cancelling the denominators. So now only the numerator part is left. So alpha is equal to tan inverse 1 by root 3. We have done a table, yes? In the last class, I hope so, yes. We have taken a table. Let's refer the table and try to write the answer in terms of radian. I don't want the answer in terms of degree. You have to write the answer in terms of radians, that is in terms of pi. So 0, 30, 45, 60, 90, 0, pi by 6, pi by 4, pi by 3, pi by 2. Sine, cos, tan. 0, half, 1 by root 2, root 3 by 2, 1. Reverse it, 1, root 3 by 2, 1 by root 2, 1 by 2, 0. This is 0. The denominators are same, so you get 1 by root 3. Both the numerators and denominators are same, you get here 1. The denominators are same, so we get here root 3 and here it's not defined. So this was the table, already you have taken on the table. This is just for my reference. So I get the value for 1 by root 3 as pi by 6 in terms of radians. So put here alpha is equal to pi by 6. So I got the value for alpha. Alpha is equal to pi by 6. Just state on the value children. This is a sum that we have already done in the previous exercise. So just refer that and we can proceed further. So we got the value for alpha. Yes children, so we have got two things. One, we have found the value for r, and the second thing is we have got the value for alpha. Now the next thing is we have to find out the value for theta. How to find the value for theta? You have to use the principal argument of a complex number. Yes, we have a table. Do you remember the table children? Yes, it was in page . Yeah, it is in page 76, the principal argument of a complex number. So first of all, we get the value for theta from alpha, but we have to find out in which quadrant the complex number is lying. Okay children? So just see the x and the y part. The x is a positive number. No need to just draw the diagram. Here the thing is only we have to find out which quadrant. So the x part is positive, the y part is positive. So you have plus plus. So where is the plus plus going to lie on? The plus plus is going to lie on the first quadrant. So if the complex number is lying on the first quadrant, what is the value for theta? Theta takes the value alpha. You can just refer page 76 to see if the complex number is lying on the first quadrant. the value for theta is taken as alpha. Are you getting my point, children? Okay. So let's write down the next statement. So no need to draw the table, already you have this table. Yes, you can just refer the table that you have taken previously. Just mention here, since the complex number lies on the first quadrant, lies in the first quadrant, theta is equal to alpha, therefore theta is equal to pi by 6. So I got the value for theta, that is pi by 6. I have to take the same value as alpha. Just do not blindly write down all the values for theta as alpha. It differs according to the quadrant. If you have second quadrant, the value for theta differs. If you have third quadrant, it differs. For second quadrant, the value for theta is pi minus alpha. For the third quadrant, it is alpha minus pi, and for the fourth quadrant, it is minus alpha. So accordingly, we have to get the value for theta. So I have found the value for theta. The next thing is we are going to write down this in terms of polar form. Let's write down the value. Therefore, z is equal to r. I know the value for r, it's 1. So anything multiplied by 1 is going to give the same answer. So I'm just going to leave that 1. I'm not going to mention over there 1. And I'm going to write down the remaining details. So this is cos of pi by 6 plus I sine pi by 6. Are you clear, children? So we got the value for z. What is the value for z? Cos pi by 6 plus I sine pi by 6. Okay, so we have just not completed the whole thing. We have only taken the inner part. That is, we have just taken the real part and the imaginary part. We did not take the power. Now what are we going to do is, we are going to take the power and we are going to completely complete our first term. So write down here. Therefore, z raised to 5 is equal to. So I just took z as root 3 by 2 plus I by 2, yes children. Now what are we going to do? We are going to find out z raised to 5. This is z. If this is z, so we are going to take the power with 5. So I got the value for z, that is cos pi by 6 plus I sine pi by 6. Okay, the whole raised to 5. The whole raised to 5. So now here we are going to apply the De Moivre's theorem. I hope you remember the De Moivre's theorem. If you have a complex number and you have a positive integer, any integer n, you're just going to take this n along with the angle. So what do you get here? Therefore, z raised to 5 is equal to cos of, the 5 comes along with the angle, cos 5 pi by 6 plus I sine 5 pi by 6. Okay. So you can just mention here, I have used De Moivre's theorem. So we have just found the value for the first part, that is root 3 by 2 plus I by 2 the whole raised to 5. Okay, now children, let's move further. We are going to find out the value for the second term. Now here, what I am going to do is, just observe the question carefully. Now, if you get z is equal to x plus iy, okay, just think of the complex number z as x plus iy. Okay, and if I tell you to find the conjugate of z, how you find the conjugate of z? Conjugate means you have to change the sign of the imaginary part. This already we have done, yes children? Yes, so just refresh it. So how you get the conjugate? The conjugate is obtained by changing the sign of the imaginary part. That means I get the conjugate as x minus iy. Are you clear? Yes, so we got the value for z bar as x minus iy, children. So here just see, here everything is same, only the sign is different, yes? So we can consider this as z bar. What is this part? Z bar. So just take down the statement over here. Z is equal to root 3 by 2 plus I by 2. So z bar is what? Root 3 by 2 minus I by 2. Okay, children. So I have just changed, that is I took the complex number as z, and here I am just considering the second term as z bar, because here everything is same, the real part, the imaginary part, everything is the same, only the difference is the sign is different. For the first term we had a positive sign, and for the second part we had a negative sign. Okay, children, so now we are going to find out the answer for z bar. Let's do the work. Here I am not going to solve the steps again, because again we have to show so many steps. Here I am just going to write down similarly, and just taking the help of the first, I am going to find out the answer for the z bar. Okay, so I am just going to refer the first part, and I am going to complete the answer for second one. So z raised to 5 was cos 5 pi by 6 plus I sin 5 pi by 6. Here the sign was plus. Now here only the difference is the sign is minus. So just write down the answer. Therefore, z bar the whole raised to 5 is equal to, I am going to write the answer directly, children. Cos 5 pi by 6 minus I sin 5 pi by 6. That's all. Are you clear with the answer? Because you can just solve and you can just see, you will get the same answer. But here no need to do, because already we have shown the steps for the first part. So similarly we can write down the answer for the second part. So the first part we have considered as z, and we are going to consider the second part as z bar, and you are going to apply a few changes to the first term. So z bar raised to the whole 5 will be cos 5 pi by 6. In terms or in place of plus, you are going to put a minus sign. That's all. So we have found the value for z bar also. So now we are going to substitute the answer over here. Right on. Therefore, root 3 by 2 plus I by 2 the whole raised to 5 plus root 3 by 2 minus I by 2 the whole raised to 5 is equal to, so I am going to put the value over here. So what is the value for root 3 by 2 plus I by 2 the whole raised to 5? This is the answer. Cos 5 pi by 6 plus I sin 5 pi by 6. 5 pi. Okay. Plus. The main sign is plus. And you are going to substitute the value for root 3 by 2 minus I by 2. That is z bar. Okay, children? So put the value. Cos 5 pi by 6 minus I sin 5 pi by 6. That's all. When we have a plus sign, no need to worry about the sign. We can just take the sign as it is. So now here what happens? Yes. Plus I sin 5 by 6 and minus I sin 5 pi by 6 gets cancelled. So what is left here? 2 cos of 5 pi by 6 is left out. So write down 2 cos 5 pi by 6. This is left out. Okay. Now let's see the next step. So now we have to get the answer as minus root 3. Yes, children? That's what we need. So let's see how to get that answer. Now we are going to use the concept that we have learned in our 11th standard 3rd unit trigonometry. Okay, let's see. So this is taken as 2 cos 5. What is pi by 6, children? Pi by 6 means 180 upon 6. Yes? It's 180 upon 6, so you get 30. So I'll put here 5 into 30. So this is 2 cos 150 degree. Okay. So I have just converted the radian in term of degree. Okay, children. So I have got 2 cos 150 degree. Just stay down till there. The sums are lengthy. This is all 5 mark questions. Okay. Now let's see further steps. Let's see how to simplify it further. Now what are we going to do is, we are just going to split this 150 in terms of like 90 plus. We have used this in our previous classes. Do you remember, children? Yes. So we are going to split that 150. that we can apply the properties and get the answer. This is equal to 2 cos 90 plus 60, and we have already done, like if it is 240, suppose if it is 240 means accordingly we change, like how you change 240 as, so 90, so 90, 180, then what I said, 270, yes, 360 and so on, then which is a closer one here, so we can just write 180 plus 60, or you can put 270 minus 30. So you can just change this in terms of multiples of 90. This was the first concept that I taught you when we started with our trigonometry lesson in last class. Yes, children? So first of all, you have to write the multiples of 90, 90, 180, 270. Then you have to just see the closest number. You can just add it, or you can subtract it. You had two choices, okay? So here what I have done is, I am just going to add. I have just split it 150 as 90 plus 60. Okay, now let's see the next step. So this is equal to, so cos of 90 plus 60, this gives you sine 60 but with a negative sign. Now why I am writing down here minus sign? Just see here, write down here one step. Cos 90 plus theta is equal to sine theta, and sine 90 plus theta is equal to cos theta. This is step you have to write down. And one more thing, now you may have a question here, why ma'am is giving a sign minus, okay? So you have to remember the rule, all students take chocolate. All students take chocolate. Yes, do you remember? ASTC. ASTC. All students take chocolate. That means all. All the functions are positive here. All the functions are positive. Here, the sign is positive and the reciprocal of sign. What is the reciprocal of sine? Cosec. So sine and cosec is positive, and remaining all the terms are negative. That is all the functions, like if you get cos, if you get tan, if you get cot, sec, all is negative. Here tan and cot is positive. This is all students take chocolate. Here C. So we have considered what? Sine, yeah, here cos will come, yes. So sine, tan is done, here cos will come. Sine, cos, tan, that is all three main things, yes student? Sine, cos, tan. So sine and cosec is positive, tan and cot is positive, cos and sec is positive here, and the remaining thing is negative. I hope you people are recollecting the things that we have done in our previous classes. Yes, I hope you are clear with this 90 plus 60. That is, we use the table of 90. Yes, children? So this we used. And then I taught you the rule. That is, all students take chocolate, and we have to just think all means all. That is, all the trigonometric function is going to be positive. Sine, students means sine. So sine and the reciprocal of sine. The reciprocal of sine is cosec. So both are positive. Here take. So tan and the reciprocal of tan, that is cot, both are positive. And here chocolate. So chocolate means the cos and the secant function is positive and the remaining functions are negative. Okay. So here now it's 90 plus 60. So this is 0 degree. We started from here. We start from the first quadrant. Yes, children? So from the first, this is 90 plus 60. So you have to come to the second quadrant. So where are we? Where is this angle lying on? The angle is lying on the second quadrant. Are you getting my point? It's 90 plus 60. So 90, this is 90. The first quadrant is 90, so plus 60. So you have to come to the second quadrant. And when you come to the second quadrant, the cos is negative. Okay. So you have to put your negative sign. So what you get? 2 sine of 60. Just don't think of sine. Okay, sine is here. I'm going to write down here sine. No. You are just going to take this value only. So cos of 90 plus theta is sine theta. And along with that, you have to see the sign also. So what is the sign? The sign is negative because this angle is lying on the second quadrant. And in the second quadrant, the value for cos is negative. Here only the sine and the cosec is positive. Okay. If you want, you can just take the table, because after a long gap you are seeing this rule. Yes, children? So just stay on the table. Many would have taken the table, many would have been just looking at that. Yes? Take down table. This is first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant. This is all. All means all the angles, all the 6 functions are positive. All the 6 functions. Sine, cos, tan, cot, sec, cosec, positive. This is students. That means sine and cosec. The reciprocal of sine is cosec, so both will be positive. So sine and cosec is positive, then what is that? Cos, sec, tan, cot, they will be negative. The third one is take. That means tan and cot is positive, and the remaining functions are negative, like sine, cos, cosec, sec are negative. All students take chocolate. So this is cos, and the reciprocal of cos is sec. So this both are positive, and the remaining functions like sine, then tan, cot, cosec are negative. So here I was dealing with cos, so you have to take a negative sign. So 2 sine 60 degree. Just take down this table, children, and write down these 2 functions. So see, everything like this, the basic thing, we have to be clear with the basic thing. So once we are clear with the basic idea, we can just bring that basic idea and we can complete our the sum. See how we are just using them. So have you taken down the rule, children? So everything is useful, and actually we have to use this in our 4th unit. We'll be studying in detail about the trigonometric functions. So we have an elaborated topic on inverse trigonometric functions. Have you taken down? Shall we proceed further, children? Okay. So now here, this is minus 2 sine 60 degree. What is the value for sine 60? It's root 3 by 2. You have the table, yes, children? So just refer the table, you get root 3 by 2. So 2 gets cancelled, and I get the answer as minus root 3. That's what we have to show. Yes, children? Yes, minus root 3, yes. So we can complete the final statement. I just put here. So therefore, what was the question? Root 3 by 2 plus I by 2 the whole raised to 5 plus root 3 by 2 minus I by 2 the whole raised to 5. This is equal to minus root 3. The question was to show, yes? So write down here, hence show. I hope you were clear with this sum, yes, children? So we have just completed 2 sums, and now it's the time for your homework. All are eagerly waiting for the homework. Yes, children? Yes, all are eagerly waiting for the homework. So your homework is from exercise 2.8, the 3rd sum. Okay, children? Complete the 3rd sum as homework, and you have some more work to be done. I just cannot give you only 1 sum for homework. So just listen to the homework questions. Your homework is from page 78, children. Just come to page 78. You have to do example 2.22 and example 2.23. Okay, and 2.24. Okay, just give you 3 solved examples. Okay, children. So your homework is 2.8, the 3rd sum, and solved examples. So I have to give you some assignment questions. I'll be giving you the assignment questions in the next class. For today's homework will be solved example 2.22 to 2.3, not 34, 2, 3, 2, 4. So 3 sums, okay, 3 solved examples. Actually, you have subparts in each solved example, so you have to do it properly. They have just given the answers directly. In some cases, you try to simplify it and do it, okay children? So once you go on solving the sums, it will be, actually this exercise is, examples is based on the modulus, the alpha and the theta. Actually this is somewhat related to your second sum. So you have to just practice the solved examples properly, okay children? Okay, and we will be continuing with the remaining sums in the next class.